Good morning. It's Friday the 26th of June. Wow, I don't know where time's going. So I have been pondering over the phrase one day at a time. I guess under the current climate, it's quite significant. And so I posed the question to the tutors to find out what they thought it meant to them and whether they had any advice for you.
Hello, MacLeod. So we're talking about one day at a time. When I first heard one day at a time, I thought carpe diem, seize the day. But then that sort of gives the impression that we need to do everything at once. And that can be a bit daunting. So carpe diem, seize the day is more likely a work in progress as we go along. So perhaps step by step is better, isn't it? One day at a time. Do every little thing that you can as you go along. Perhaps it's that you set yourself a goal for the day that's going to be achievable so that you feel that you have made some progress by the end of the day. It might be that you set a few goals that you get to by the end of the week. Basically, at the moment, we're at home learning, so we need to just keep ourselves paced. We need to keep ticking off that list, and we need to keep going until we can all be on holiday for August and then come back together again, hopefully in September. So I have a little rhyme for you. Unfortunately, there weren't any great works of poetry with One Day at a Time as their title, but there is a small rhyme here from me for you. One day at a time, step by step, focus your mind and your goals will be met.
Hello girls, I hope you're all really well and managing to stay positive in these uncertain times. It's Miss Pinyan here. I thought that I would like to share this poem with you that sort of sums up this idea of one day at a time. It's a poem called I Am by MacLeod. When you live in the past with its mistakes and regrets, it is hard. I am not there. My name is not I was. When you live in the future with its problems and fears, it is hard. I am not there. My name is not I will be. When you live in this moment, it is not hard. I am here. My name is I am. So really what I would say about this is my piece of advice to you, and I apply this to myself because I didn't used to do this. I would stop focusing on the past, okay, because we can't change the past, and we obviously can't control the future, but we can make the most of the present. So do things that make you happy every day, be nice, be kind, and just enjoy the small things that life gives us, you know, the beautiful weather that we have, a nice chat with your friend, a good piece of feedback from one of your teachers. Just make the most of it and enjoy that, and just literally take one day at a time, and things will get better. I very much look forward to seeing you all again when things do get better. But in the meantime, keep smiling and stay well.
Morning girls, Mrs. Thompson's asked us to do a video, a bit of a nightmare for me, but nevertheless, and she talked about one day at a time. It resonates quite heavily with me because things have been a little bit tough since before Christmas, and at Christmas time I bought a book called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. I bought one for me, I bought one for my mum, I bought one for my sister Joanna. And it's been a little bit of a go-to over the last 6-7 months really. It's a fabulous book. I would recommend it highly. It's stunningly written with lots of little gems of wisdom and some beautiful drawings as well. And I wanted to share a couple of the gems of wisdom, I guess, with this idea of one day at a time. One is one that my sister and I laugh at quite often, and it might resonate a little bit with you. The mole that loves cake, okay? And the mole says, "I got you a delicious cake," said the mole. "Did you?" said the boy. "Yes, where is it?" "I ate it," said the mole. "Oh, but I got you another." "Did you? Where's that one?" the same thing seems to have happened. And it makes me laugh because I sort of think, yes, there's been a lot of cake eating, and also in MacLeod House you can eat your, I think, body weight in cake most of the time. But it's a good thing to do. The second one, again, it's the idea of one day at a time, and I know this is hard. This has been so hard for all of you, young and older people in the house, and for the sixth form and the year 11s who may be leaving school. I can't quite imagine how you feel, but this little phrase has helped me a lot over the last few months. Sometimes, said the horse. Sometimes what? Asked the boy. Sometimes just getting up and carrying on is brave and magnificent. I think that's amazing, and I'm going to leave you with that today. Thank you, girls.
I'm going to think of one day at a time in relation to a sports performer. A sports person sets themselves challenging, long-term goals which can only be met through setting regular, smaller, short-term goals. As these smaller steps are met, the athlete's confidence and motivation is increased, helping them to persist even during the most difficult times. In your life today, if you take every day as a small step to getting back to normality, the future won't seem so distant. Make sure every day is a strong step and your daily goals are met, whether it's physically or mentally. Some steps will be easy. Others may be more difficult and may need some help to reach your goals. But if you have a bad day, remember the words of Captain Tom. Tomorrow will be a good day.
Good morning, MacLeod House. I hope everybody's really well. What does one day at a time mean to me? Well, I guess it's probably the obvious things. Not rushing to the future, trying to focus on the here and now. But I know it's easier said than done, and certainly when I was probably about your sort of age at school, all I wanted to do was to hurry up and get my GCSEs done and my A-levels done and get off to university and become independent and travel the world. I was never really thinking about one day at a time. I think it's okay to, and it's good to have dreams and plans, but I think that all too often we don't really focus on the important thing, which is today and what we're doing today, because this is the only thing that you can actually control. I think we all spend too much time worrying about the future and indeed worrying about things that have gone on in the past. So I think for me, one day at a time, it really means trying not to live on autopilot, trying not to let the days just slide by, but trying to anchor yourself onto the here and now, onto today, and what you're going to be doing over the course of the next few hours. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I think it's important to always try and remember that you are only going to get this day once. This Friday in June is never going to happen again. So just try and slow down. That's what it means. Try and slow down. It's not a race, and just live one day at a time.
Hi girls, missing you all and hoping you're all keeping well at home. So one day at a time, and what does that mean to me? So a little bit of advice for how I take one day at a time. I have a couple of essentials that I'd like to share with you. The first is a set of post-it notes, okay, and obviously a pen. So every morning I write myself a little to-do list for the day, and there's a reason that I only use post-it notes and I don't use my notebook or my diary. The reason is that it's only little, okay, because I want to make sure that my to-do list for each day is achievable and I prioritise things that I do need to do that day. And it makes it much more manageable, and I feel so much more productive when I've managed to tick everything off my to-do list. If I don't manage to tick everything off my to-do list, then the next day the things go back on it and I try and get through more of my to-do list than I did the day before. So that's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice, and it's my second essential, a good friend of mine bought me this book called One Line a Day. And the idea is that it's a memory book for 5 years, but you write down each day on the date just one line of something that happened that day. And the reason I love this, and it's a big part of my daily routine now, is because it makes you reflect on the day that you've had, and it just means that you manage to find something positive in that day. Even when lockdown first happened and we weren't at school, and there would be some days at the end of the day I felt really rubbish because I felt like I'd achieved nothing and I hadn't gone out anywhere or I hadn't been able to do anything. But then sitting down to write this book really made me think about something good that happened that day, and I instantly went to bed feeling better, and then the next day waited for something good to happen again so that I could write it down in my book. So that's my advice. See you all soon.
What one day at a time means for me, it's easy to feel out of control with everything that's going on in the world, and also when you've got days stretching out before and behind you, to feel overwhelmed by what you should have accomplished and what you need to accomplish. Whereas if you take one day at a time, it means starting every day with an empty glass and then filling it with time spent with the people you love and noticing things about the world that you maybe don't normally have time to notice. It's about feeling good about everything you have achieved over the course of that day, as opposed to what you haven't achieved. And then knowing at the end of that day that you've done all these things, that you've noticed these things, you've spent that quality time, and if things have gone wrong, you can start again afresh tomorrow.
Okay, so we've heard from all our wonderful tutors, and I think I'll just finish up with my comments about one day at a time. And I guess one of the things that I was thinking about was the fact that you deal with things as they happen. Try not to make plans, try not to worry about the future. It's just as it is at the moment. We just kind of take it as it comes, one day at a time, and deal with that. And if the first day isn't good, then always look to the next and make it better, make changes if needed. And if that one's not great, then, you know, wait for the next one. There's always another day where you can make changes. One of the things that I've learned with one day at a time, which seems a little bit sort of silly, but I'll finish it off with this silly thought, is that I've never had great knees. I've always had very sort of weak legs generally. So in terms of running, it's never been one of my favourite things to do. But I have learned in lockdown that I can run, but I've been doing it one day at a time. I have now managed to build up to 30 minutes of non-stop running, and that might not sound a great deal to some of you who are very sporty, but for me that's quite a major achievement without any sort of major pains or aches. So, you know, it shows that it can be done if you do take things slowly and surely. And I guess I'll leave you with that thought, that things can happen, things can be achieved, just one day at a time.